Hello, my name is Steve George, and I'm a Qlik software engineer for the Gold Client solution. I hope that you were able to watch the preceding video that introduced an important Gold Client object that the Qlik team refers to as data echo data types. If not, it is strongly advised that you take a few minutes to watch it, as it contains some important information that will help make this video's content more relevant. The purpose of this video is to share with you some of the various search help functions that are available in Gold Client to search for data echo data types. This is important because all exports must be initiated using one or more data types. This video will not provide content for all available search help functionality, but rather will focus on those searches which are the most frequently used by the Gold Client user community and probably considered the most useful, especially to a new user. I will end the session sharing a couple of tips and tricks. Gold Client provides to the user 4 search functions: a generic or default search, which offers a few different inputs of name, kind, and primary flag; a search that is primarily based on table name; a search by tags; and a search by flow or relationship. These functions are listed from left to right in the search window from the most to least frequently used. You can see these searches in the screen capture on this slide. This video will focus on only the first 2 search functions. Most data types have a naming convention that uses a 2 or 3 character prefix, and most are named with respect to the data object's principal module. On this slide, there is a comprehensive list of the most frequently used naming conventions within the Gold Client configuration. I'll give you a few moments to look these over. Data type names are simply free text, but know that the Qlik team attempts to name them in a logical fashion and as something most SAP users can readily identify. This slide provides a small number of examples. I'll pause here so you can briefly review them. The next field is known as the data type kind. Most data types are assigned to M for master data or T for transactional data. The Z or other type is assigned to data types whose names begin with link. The link data types are needed for creating relations between various data types in order to help maintain high levels of data integrity during the copy process. Please be aware that data types assigned to Z cannot be used to initiate data exports. Using this flag is the best available search option for locating those data types having the primary designation. And just a quick reminder that the previous video shared important details about primary data types and why using them is a best practice recommendation. Let's have a look at these queries. A common query is to input the first 2 or 3 characters for the various modules. For example, SD star for sales and distribution, or PP star for production planning. Notice that the searches are not case sensitive. The search results page will display the relevant data types, as well as the kind and the primary flag designator. For the next search, I'll choose kind M. With only this one input, a significant number of data types will be returned, since this is a very generic way of searching. If you want to base your search using the primary flag indicator, simply input an X in this field or select it using the drop-down function. Of course, it's possible to use some combination of these fields. One example would be to input data type FI star and setting the primary flag. Let's now discuss the next search function. When using the by table search function, it's possible to input a full or partial table name and be sure to add wildcards if needed. This slide shows several examples of both transactional and master data tables that could be used for this type of query. The header table flag is useful if the user wants to narrow down the list to only those tables which are defined within the Gold Client configuration as header tables within their respective data types. And lastly, the data type name field is the same one that exists on the default search tab that we just finished reviewing. Let's have a look at these queries. The most common and useful query with this function is to simply input a table, such as MKPF or perhaps PA000 star when using a wildcard. Notice that tables may be found more than once, and that this occurs when a table resides in more than one data type, which is not that unusual. The output also shows which tables are headers for the respective data types, as this may be useful information. Here's a similar query as before, but this time with the header table flag added. As expected, this narrows down the list of data types displayed in the results list. One more useful example could be for the user to input a combination of a table and a data type name or its prefix. For example, table AUFK and data type PM star. I'll now return us to the presentation. This slide summarizes the data type searches that have been shared during this presentation. These are highly recommended for new Gold Client users as they typically provide very useful returns. And just a quick side note, if you find yourself struggling to locate data types, freely contact the Qlik team for support and our team will respond accordingly. Let me briefly share a couple of tips. The first one is to save data types to a personal values list. This is standard SAP functionality that's existed for many years, and it's essentially a user's list of favorites. The second tip is to use Gold Client's ability to apply custom tags to data types. These can be standard tags that Qlik has provided, but customers can also create their own. Because this is a larger topic and requires some configuration setup, this content may be made available in a separate video. Interested users can access this content from the Gold Client Configuration and Utilities User Guide. Let me take a moment now to show how the Personal Values List functionality works. I will first execute a search for data types using the primary flagged field. From the search results, I will select data type Business Partners and add it to my personal list. I'll then repeat these steps for Vendor Master. If I select the Personal Values List icon, my list of favorites will appear. There is a Delete from Personal List icon that can be used to remove the selected value, and selecting the Display All Values icon returns the user to the search input screen. This is a great way for a user to easily compile their own list of favorite data types. We've reached the end of this presentation, and I thank you for your attention. Ideally, you now have some basic understanding of how to search for data types in Gold Client. This is critical information to have with respect to the next video, where the steps for performing ad hoc data copies will be shared. Be sure to watch that video to continue your Gold Client training journey.